Here's the. Oh no, we can do one more, and then we. But who have we got at 11? We've got somebody at 11. No, well that's good. Okay, so Fendalton. Sorry, Fendalton, Waimairi, Harewood. Morning, David.
Hello, good morning all. Look, I'll take the report as read for the sake of time. Just draw your attention to three issues in the report. Obviously, the northwest motorway extension is coming through. That's obviously going to have a huge impact, or hopefully an impact in our. Sorry, turn that off.
Fine.
Yeah, perhaps. That will have a huge impact, hopefully, on the amount of traffic through our ward. We, like a number of other wards, have quite a number of issues around that traffic, particularly areas around Harewood Road, Glendover Road, etc., which raise the irk of a number of our people in our ward. Second one is also just our continuing of youth development fund to deserving youth in our community. Over the next few while, I'll go through the computer away in a minute. And also just the Jeffreys Road Water Reserve is just a looming issue, or an infrastructure project in our ward at the moment. Happy to answer any questions.
I assume that this is a Raf and a Jamie moving and seconding. Very good. I did want to just raise the Westall Trust correspondence that you raised in your report, as I think a number of us had in the past been contacted by the group of residents in relation to the changing character and amenity of Glendover and Idris, and the nature of the roads in that area are hugely challenging, and I understand that because I use it as a mechanism for getting from the east to the west in the quickest possible way myself, so I understand exactly what they mean, but I don't drive a truck. So I'm quite keen to know, as I understand it, you're going to hold a workshop and then determine whether there's a working group approach to be adopted with the Residents Association.
That is correct. That's the intent. I'm yet to ring the gentleman concerned, which I'm intending to do today. There's just some guidelines around how we want to engage it and setting some outcomes, or the expectation of the outcomes. And doing that, and the idea is to try and have that gathering within the next fortnight.
Great.
And then with a view of a round table discussion.
No, that would be great. Thank you. Vicky, then Yanni.
Last time you were here, I asked you about the house at Mona Vale in terms of the artists in residence. And last time we had a joint workshop with you, you were having a workshop on that just immediately ahead of that. Indeed,
and I might just bring in Aaron Hewen here if we can. There was a very exciting project being sort of led out of Hereford Street, I believe, around a film initiative. So it's still in that arts culture dynamic around having movie set or animation, I believe, if it's the correct term. Like a 3D modelling movie makers coming and using, or potentially using the house. So that's the latest on that information. It's been. We'll throw it over to Aaron. He's sort of been championing the project.
Turning around to look at Mary, I thought there may have been a late item on the agenda today. That would had a presentation at the community board around the Artists in Residence program, and the initial one was quite convoluted in the sense that people would apply on behalf of them for funding to help them through a process, and they'd be there a quarter of a year and so on and so forth. But we had something crop up where there's, and it's going to be public knowledge in a couple of seconds, there's a film animation studio is currently being built in Christchurch for what's called claymation animation. There's a guy from Christchurch called Ant Elworthy, who's one of the best animators in the world. He works with Wes Anderson, he does the Tim Burton films, and he's coming back home because he's had children, and he was moving to Auckland, he talked the producers into setting up the studio in Christchurch, and so for that studio to be here and to make it work, they needed some accommodation for some of the artists that are coming up from Canada, and they will be the ones, hopefully, will be moving into that to help get that project over the line, establish that studio here, which will be employing a number of locals. They're working with ARA, and there's going to be an arts interaction program for young people in Christchurch that have an interest in animation, because one of the best animators in the world is
And
actually
you've got a
from
paper
here.
coming to council.
No, the code of compliance for the buildings came through yesterday, and the property unit are working on the lease under their delegations. So it's been approved to actually
Work in
for
progress.
the rent level to be not at a commercial rate under delegations, and the property person's developing a lease under delegations and is preparing a memo to go back to the community board to advise on the progression of that. So that's happening very quickly. It's been fast tracked. Yep.
It's a happening thing? Right.
Yep.
Yanni?
Very
Thank you for the report. Just note under 5.5, you talk about the Western Belfast bypass,
Yep.
and you do talk about people cycling there on its open day.
Yep.
Has your board had any presentations around the not just the open day cycling, but how the cycling network uses that stretch of motorway? Because I've looked at the plans and it's very hard to see.
Not that I can recall in any specific detail.
Right.
There has been generally, when we have the cycleways, that might be wings to the airport, for example, or the localised cycleways. We have some reasonably detailed information about that, but not on a global perspective.
I know in the past, I think the board the Fendalton Waimairi board did raise concerns with NZTA around
That
the
is
lack
correct.
of cycleways along the motorways.
Yeah, Val Carter was very adamant
Yeah.
with land transport around having cycling permitted on that stretch of road, or actually having a set aside area especially for cyclists. It wasn't adopted and hasn't been built.
Right. I just wonder, with the change of government and the new priority around cycleways, whether that's something the board would consider picking up again.
Probably above my pay grade, but it's certainly something we can certainly look at.
Excellent. All right. I shall put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried. Thanks very much. Thank you. Now, we're just going to stop for morning tea. It's 11 o'clock, so... Oh, apparently it's not outside yet, so we're going to go ahead